Hey guys, welcome to Conversations with the Real Estate Redhead. Today I'm going to be talking about getting started in your real estate business and basically kind of the cost associated with that, the cost associated with joining, the local MLS board, the local real estate board, and then also kind of my experience and my takeaways with my interactions with my fellow coworkers and, ways that I can encourage y'all from some of the experiences that I've learned from. So to kind of get started, after you pick your broker, after you decide, hey, this is the broker that I want to choose, they sponsor you. And then from there, you can go ahead and reach out to your local association board of realtors. Down here in Corpus, we've got a lot of surrounding towns, and the Corpus Christi board oversees a lot of the cities around us. But Rockport, where I live, has their own board, their own association of realtors. And so whenever I got started, I couldn't decide, okay, well, would it be wise for me to join Rockport and Corpus because there's fees associated with both? I want to be able to hit the ground running as strong as possible. How do I know which route I need to take so that I can do that without having to spend $1 gazillion? Because whenever you very first get started, it can be expensive. And like I talked in another podcast with the cost of just getting licensed, depending on the schooling that you choose, it could be $1,500 easily just to be able to get licensed. And so then whenever you get, once now you're ready to start your business, there's more money that's associated with it. And I want to talk to y'all guys a little bit about that today as well. So once you decide which board you want, I decided I was going to do both, Corpus and Rockport, hit the ground running as strong as possible. Whenever I joined the Rockport board, you cannot call yourself a realtor in the state of Texas without paying your state dues and paying your national dues. And that just might be nationwide with the National Association of Realtors as well. You can't call yourself a realtor. You can say, I'm a real estate agent, but you can't say I'm a realtor without paying your dues to Texas and national. When I got started, I knew it was going to be expensive. I knew it was going to be uncomfortable, and I was just like, take my money. Whatever it costs, here it is, because I need to get started, and I really want to be successful. And if it costs whatever you're going to tell me it costs, then whatever, I guess, because it is what it is. And so that's kind of was my attitude getting started. And so I don't specifically remember how much everything cost. But now that I'm getting charged quarterly for both MLS boards that I'm part of, I can tell y'all, a good rough amount of what I get charged for that. So I called Rockport, and whenever you join a board, you have an application you have to fill out. So you fill out the application, they approve it, and then you're good to go. You get access to being, your membership benefits. And one of your membership benefits of being on the board is the MLS database. That's the multiple listing service. That's basically your number one tool when it comes to being a realtor. You see all of the listings in there. You see their asking price. You see all of the agent details, how to have access to the house, a good way, how to schedule the showings, surveys, sellers disclosures, anything that pertains to that house. How to reach out to the agent, who the owner is for whenever you need to write up the offer, and all kinds of stuff. The price history, everything that is not public information, and that is, only information that realtors get to see because of their membership, with the board, is what you see on that multiple listing service. And that MLS is vital in order to be able to be a successful agent and to be able to be a strong agent. And so I knew that I wanted to join both boards so that I had full access, and I wasn't going to have pretty much anything that was going to be inhibiting me from being able to be successful as possible. If I'm in Rockport and someone calls me and they want to see a house in Padre Island or in Flower Bluff or Kingsville, and I'm in Rockport, I want to be able, even though that's not down the street from me, I still want to be able to have access to be able to show them that and not be confined to not being able to see the listings, pull comps, comparable home sales, and etc. So there's so much value in having access to that MLS database. And so I joined Rockport, and Rockport became my primary because I joined there first. And so then I had to call the Corpus board, and I said, hey, I want to join. They said, okay, send me a letter of good standing with Rockport and then I will go ahead and I will approve your board membership over here in Corpus. Whenever you're part of a board, you have to adhere to their rules. You have to be sure that you do what they say that you have to do, and or whatever their rules are, because otherwise you'll get fined. If you take a photo of a house with a for sale sign in the yard and you put it on the database, they're going to say, hey, you can't do that. You're going to get a $75 fine or whatever. Or, I can't even tell you another example off the top of my head, but, say you're putting a listing on for an out-of-town agent and you put all of their contact information in there, you can get fined for doing that because you're aiding another agent and they're not paying their own dues to be able to put that listing in the database. So you just have to be careful, and you have to know what the rules are so that you don't get fined. And part of that is your good standing. So, Corpus wanted a letter of good standing saying that I don't have any outstanding fines and that I've been, adhering to the rules, whatever. And so Rockport sent that to Corpus. And then once they did that, I was able to join the Corpus board. The interesting thing with Rockport and Corpus is their lockboxes. So that's one thing to kind of say, hey, it's not something that you would ever think of if you're not a realtor and you don't experience it. And every MLS board might be different. If you're in San Antonio or Austin or Houston, in Corpus, they use something called a Sentry box, which is a Bluetooth box that only realtors have access to, and that's how the key is stored. And it keeps the property secure, because if an agent only had a lockbox with a combo code, and agent A were to go over there and show that house, and then contractors 1, 2, and 3 came over to the house, and then agents A through D came over, all of those people are going to have that combo code, and they may remember it and they may write it down and then go back over to the house without asking permission to work on something or to go show it again, and the agent won't know that someone's at the house. And so these Bluetooth key boxes help the listing agents be able to know when someone's getting access to the house. And typically, depending on how the house is being showed, the agent is typically going to want to be told prior to the showing that the showing is going on. So that's something that helps a lot with agents and property owners. And so they use Sentry box, they use Supra over here in Corpus. We use Sentry in Rockport. So it's a completely different code. It's a completely different box. I think Sentry and Supra are both very easy to use. They're both Bluetooth boxes, but for whatever reason, the both MLS boards don't use the same one. And part of being able to use these the Supra box here in Corpus is you have to pay an extra fee every month to even be able to have access to use the box. So that's just another fee that goes along with being a realtor. And then you also have your dues that you have to pay. So after you join the MLS board, there's like an application fee and or a startup fee. I don't know what it's called. Like I said, I just said take my money and give me access. So I didn't pay too terribly much attention, but I do know now that I'm getting quarterly fees, that they do bill you quarterly as well for your due membership. And it's like, I think it's $156. I don't remember, that each one will bill you every quarter. And so roughly it really adds up to about $100 a month that I have to pay to be part of both, because I'm part of both boards. And then, you have, your advertising fees and other fees, but those are just the fees associated with being able to access property and being able to search for the properties and things like that. That's just like surface level. And so keep that in mind as you're getting started and as you're trying to tally up what it's going to cost just to be able to get your foot in the door. It's not an expensive, it's not a cheap and or, affordable thing to get started with. Sometimes it can be costly. So just keep that in mind. It is worth it. No, like I said at the beginning, I was just so ready to get started. I didn't really care because I knew that this is what I wanted to do, and I was going to pay whatever it cost to get there. And I kind of had a little bit of an understanding. Something else you can do too is you can call the boards whenever you're getting your testing. whenever you're going through all of the certifications, call the board and say, hey, if I were to join in next month, how much is my startup fee going to be, and how much are my dues every quarter, so that you can kind of prepare in advance, how much money you're going to need. Something else to keep in mind too, typically whenever you get started, all of your friends and family are going to be really excited for you starting your new career, but it can take a while to get your feet off the ground and to start your business. There's something you have to remember when it comes to being a realtor is you might not have a brick and mortar shop like most businesses that you pass in town, but you are very much your own business. That comes with a lot of overhead costs. It comes with a lot of patience you have to have. And you also have to have a lot of belief in yourself to be able to be successful, because you are your own boss. Yes, you have a broker that you report to. Yes, your broker might have, some structure for you in regards to how you have to, post on social media and, be a good person. But and what I mean by that is, like, in Texas, you have to put your broker on what you post. And so there are rules like that. But when it comes to your day-to-day activities, your day-to-day business structure, and everything like that, it is completely and totally up to you on what that looks like. And I kind of wanted to talk about this a little bit too, because a lot of times people come to me and they ask me, well, how do you know what to say in your social media posts? And I say, well, I say what I feel like saying. Well, but I just don't understand, like, where you come up with it. I don't have a certain place where I come up with it. Sometimes my creativity is like at a 0, and then others I'm like popping it off. So it just depends. And then sometimes I'll just copy and paste what I've said before in a different way. But you have to remember that this is your business. And what I tell people all the time, say what is comfortable for you. If you are fudging something, if you're just putting something out there because it feels forced, it feels unnatural to you, you're not going to be able to replicate that over the course of time. And it's okay to do that at the beginning and then get your groove, because of course things will change and things will naturally evolve over time. But it's important to remember that this is your business, and you do you, and you Z-snap your way through it, and you boss babe through it, and you just make it happen. And you just have to have confidence in yourself, and you have to have the belief in yourself to be able to get it done. Just like with anything else in life, if you're going to be successful, you have to work really freaking hard. There are times where I'm not ever at home. I'll leave in the morning and things will happen, and I won't be home until late at night. I try and keep my personal life in order also, but sometimes I'll come to Corpus and I'll do my podcast, and then I'll have showings in the afternoon, or I'll have, documents I need to get together for offers, and then I'll have someone call me and want something, and then the next thing I know, I'm off to another meeting, and then, I have life group late at night, and then I get home whenever I get home, or I go see my parents and we watch a football game together, and I'll get home at 9 p.m. sometimes, but you have to figure it out, and it's okay to not know what you're doing when you start. It's okay to not have a good understanding of where to go first, but you just have to start somewhere so that you can just go. If you never start, you're never going to know your future potential, and you could really be inhibiting yourself and inhibiting your future family and or those who look up to you around you if you don't just take off and just do the dang thing. So just keep that in mind and keep your head up, because it can be a very hard career. I would always suggest to have someone who you can lean on for help. I know for a fact I probably would have quit already if I didn't have somebody like that, because it is so hard. Whenever you get started, everything, like I said, all of the money that is going into this can be overwhelming. And then whenever you get your first deal, it's just like so exciting. You don't even know what to do with yourself. And just because you get your first deal doesn't mean it's going to close. And it's so easy to be hard on yourself. It's so easy to overthink it. And it's so easy to be negative and to think, oh, well, it didn't close because of this or because of that. When in reality, a lot of times it's out of your control. So you just have to keep going, and you have to remember that this business is a future, is always going to be stuff going on in the future, 30, 60, 90 days out. I just wrote a contract over the weekend and we don't close until March 1st, and it's the middle of January. You're never going to, it's not an instant gratification. It's not an instant payday. It's always going to be, sometime in the future, but it's always worth it. And if you want to be successful, and if you want to be a strong agent, and you want to have, a business for the future and not get burnt out, stay the course and stay confident in yourself. Something else to keep in mind too, whenever you get started, is to not only have someone to look up to and a mentor to reach out to, but also be sure that you're putting yourself out there. In your brokerage, you can ask for other people, that they have listings, to go do an open house at their listing and blast it out to everyone that you're going to be there, and do that as much as possible. I didn't close a deal. I got licensed in July and I closed my first deal in October. Yeah, I got licensed in July and I closed my first deal in October. So I was doing open houses twice every Saturday and Sunday for 6 weeks, 8 weeks straight. At the end, I was like, I never want to see an open house sign again. So you have to be careful not to overdo it. But there's so many people that came up to me and said, oh my gosh, you're so successful. I'm so proud of you. You're doing so great. Oh, you were so busy. Oh, you were so this. Oh, you were so that. And every time I walked away from them, I said, yeah, but you have no idea what's actually going on. And it was really easy for me to talk down to myself because I hadn't had a deal closed yet. But I was putting the things in motion that needed to be there for people to take me seriously as an agent, and for people to know that I wasn't just doing this on the side and that I wasn't messing around. And so the more that you can put yourself out there, and the more people can see that you're busy, they don't have to know you haven't closed anything yet. They don't have to know anything. You put yourself out there and you show up and you do your part and you do it well, things will just start to come into place. And it's really crazy how whenever I very first got started, I was thinking about my goals and how I just wanted to have just one closing a month. And now, I'm looking to have at least 2 or 3 closings a month or more set up as we start this new year. And it's really crazy how all of that just comes together. But if you want good things to come out of your new career, you cannot sit on the computer at your house and play with your dogs and never work. Don't get me wrong, I've done that some days, but you have to work. You have to put in the hours, show up and be at the office, listen to other people, drive along with them in the car, do open houses every other weekend or every weekend, do them on Saturdays and Sundays if you can, lean into a mentor, ask people questions, ask to go on showings with people. People are willing to help. You just have to be willing to ask. And a lot of times you just have to put yourself out there. So I can't say that enough. And like I said, in my previous podcast, the reason why I'm here is to be able to help. And so please reach out if you have any questions. I could just continue to go on and on, but I will save you all the time. Call me, text me, reach out to me. My number is 361-463-1837. Let me help you. Let me encourage you, because you can be successful. You just have to really try and just not give up. So on that note, y'all have a good rest of your day, and thanks for tuning in.